Mr. Vice Chair, could you read our mission statement?
The mission of Marshall Public Schools is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any additions? Hearing none, please vote. That agenda is approved. Public forum. Now is the time if anybody's in the public that'd like to approach the board. This is your time. Moving on to our presentation. Welcome.
Thank you. So we have excellent results to report from the sale day, which occurred on June 20th. And if you'll turn to the first page of the sale day report, you'll see, yep, we'll just go up to the first page. Perfect. So you'll see the purpose there. So issuing the bonds from the voter-approved bond referendum in May. And the state credit enhanced rating was assigned at a AA2 by Moody's, and then your underlying rating was affirmed at an A1, which is great. We got 8 bids on the day of sale. We like to see at least 3, so we were very excited to have that much interest in your bonds, and we'll go through the bidders in just a minute. But the lower bidder was out of Minnesota, Piper Jaffray. So I think they were really interested in this, of course, and you'll see that their low bid is a 2.8359%. So in the notes there underneath the table where we summarize the results, scroll up just a little bit there, you'll see that interest rates have declined quite a bit over the last few months, and we talked about that when we were here in early June. So the interest cost was lower than what we had put in the pre-election estimates at 4.05%, and then lower even than we had projected in our pre-sale report at the beginning of June. So we had a 3.1% at that time, and we're excited, hoping that we could just get in a little bit above 3%, but we ended up lower than that. So the total tax levies on the bonds are $5,382,000 less than what we had in the pre-election estimates. So that will be very nice for your taxpayers. And our closing date is coming up this week. And because the rate was lower than what was included in the parameters resolution that the board approved, you have already signed off on the proposal and committed to the rate and locked into that. So Dion signed it, and one of the other board members, oh great, so Jeff signed the proposal form, and so that's all done. The attachments then we'll walk through quickly. The bid tab is the first attachment, and these are the 8 different bidders that you received. So Piper Jaffray out of Minneapolis, again, that true interest rate is shown in the far right-hand column, the 2.8359. And then if you continue on, Baird was the next closest bidder, really tight bidding, so 2.859 to 2.8458. And then Raymond James out of Florida, Mizro out of Chicago, Wells Fargo out of Charlotte, Fifth Third out of Cincinnati, Bank of America out of New York, and JP Morgan out of New York. So you had interest from throughout the country, which was great to see. And even the highest rate that you had was still a little bit under 3%. So that was really fantastic. We were thrilled to see the results come in. The next schedules then are the same schedules that were included in the pre-sale report that we went through in June. They're just updated now for the sale results. And on the sources and uses page, we showed the pre-election estimates. That column includes the amounts that were submitted in your review and comment document that was submitted to the MDE, and now the results of the bond sale. So a couple of things to look at. The net available for project costs within the uses section, we were planning on $29.8 million. With the bid that you received and the premium that was authorized, we actually are showing now a little over $30 million available for project costs, so that's nice to have a little bit more cushion for your projects. And then the deposit to the construction fund is the amount that you'll start off with before interest earnings. And we have a pretty conservative estimate of interest earnings included, so hopefully you'll end up with even more for your project costs, depending on how that all plays out with the investments and the timing of how quickly you spend the money. The next page then is the detailed debt plan, which you've seen a number of times from us, so just showing that, again, the rate will be at the higher level for a few years, and then we have a step down in the rate so that as you consider the additional projects that are still remaining for you on your list, you have some flexibility to address those. And you can see that in graphical form then on the next page, which shows the bar chart, so the rate up for about 4 years, a drop down for 3 more years, and then another drop down where it levels off then for the remaining term of the bond issue. So again, as you consider your projects that you have coming up and moving forward with some of those, we definitely have some flexibility built into your debt plan to be able to address those, which is nice. And then our favorite page is the tax impact page. And again, we're showing the pre-election estimates. Those were the amounts that you submitted in the review and comment that went to the Minnesota Department of Education, and now the sale results. So on a $150,000 home, instead of $72 annually, we're at $57 for the upcoming year, and instead of $6, of $5 a month. The other thing that we have included now is the 50% aid credit for taxes payable in 2020. We talked about that in June also, but you'll see how that plays out then on the tax impact schedule. And then finally, your report that you received from Moody's with the information about the rating and the factors, the kind of their rationale and the factors that could lead to an upgrade or a downgrade, so they always mention those. You did have to go through the rating process again, and Dion participated in the rating call and really represented you guys well as part of that process. He was able to answer all the questions that they had, and it's really helpful to them and to be able to do the work that they need to do and put together the report then for your district. And then finally, we included the graph of interest rates over the last few years. So you can see there's been quite a bit of volatility in the rates, and you just happen to be selling at a point where rates were low. So good planning on your part to take advantage of that. Rates did go up last fall quite a bit, and so when we put together your pre-election estimates, that's why we ended up at that rate of just over 4%, but they've come down really nicely, and yeah, perfect, right? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it all turned out really well. We're very, very, very happy with the results. Really happy to be of service and help you out throughout the process, and appreciate the opportunity to be here again tonight and share the great news with you.
Could you go over the bids and because Deb just got here from the paper, and how much we're going to save, or how much less?
I'm happy to do that,
Not
yes.
necessarily what we're going to save, but how much less the interest will be.
Yeah, so if you look on the first page of the report, because the rate that, the low rate that we got on the day of sale was a true interest cost rate of 2.83% as compared to just a little over 4% that we were planning on for the election. The total tax levies on the bonds are going to be $5,382,000 less than was planned. So that is all a savings to your taxpayers, and really happy to see that nice result.
Thank you. Any questions for you? Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Moving on to our consent agenda, motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Financials. Motion to approve the financials. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion.
Just finishing off the year, there are a couple of things in the summary that'll actually will stay in fiscal year 2019. Or actually go to fiscal year 20. We had purchased some of our one-to-one devices that are on the bills, but they'll go to the 19-20 school year. Otherwise, everything looks good.
Any questions, board? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. It is approved. Anything for the treasurer's report?
No, just as you look at the comparison between the years, it gets kind of tricky because of audit adjustments that go back. None of those have been done for this year.
Support forum and updates. Board members? Sarah?
Okay, I was sure this, sorry. I wanted to give the update for the Bond Oversight Committee. We have been meeting since June 7th. We had our kickoff, and I've had, I believe, 3 meetings since. There's also been 2 or 3 design committee meetings, along with user group meetings that occurred today that I unfortunately was unable to go to. I was hoping to go to a few of them. Things have been really, really productive, really positive overall. Dion's done the design committee as well, so I think he can comment on those. But we really, there's a lot of information. It's a little bit overwhelming at times, but I think it's going as well as we can be expected with starting June 7th. So, Dion, maybe we'll comment on the design committee.
I've never been through it before. It's kind of a fun process. They break things down by steps, but yeah, I just wanted to cover a few things just so everybody can know where we're at. A couple of the board members that aren't on the BOC. Like Sarah had said, we've met 3 times, both the Bond Oversight Committee and the core design. There's a lot of good ideas. There's a lot of good discussions. But with all those good discussions, we remind that we have to stay in the scope of the budget. So there might be some give and take there. Also with that, Dave and ATS and our group and I have met with Darcy and Tiffany to talk about the Parkside project. We went over the secured entrance, how the office might have to be redesigned to accommodate that secured entrance, and then also met with Darcy and Tiffany and talked about the early childhood wing and how that will look with moving around some of the rooms. Just kind of a note, August 5th at the board meeting, we're going to have ATS&R and ICS are going to present and give us some updates, some of the timeline updates. Also, hopefully some drawings, at least on the Parkside project. They're a little not final, but they're a little more firm. But then also give some updates on the new elementary school where we've gone. Like Sarah had said, we had some user groups today, which really got a little more in depth in different sections, like the gym, music room, special ed, EL, title, all the different areas. So it was nice to hear from. And we actually invited more people to those because of the specifics. Just a note too, I think I invited the board oversight committee to it. We're going to have a traffic meeting next Tuesday. It's going to have safe routes to school, police officers, city representatives, some of our board, and just to discuss traffic flow, what this is going to look like, potential positioning of the school and how that's going to impact it. We'll have Southwest coaches there to talk about bus routes. We did have a good discussion today about that, which it's gonna. There were a lot of good ideas today that made sense, and I feel better about the traffic flow after today, and we'll get more into that next Tuesday. But I think it's going to look better than I think people anticipate. And along with that, ICS was able to secure a traffic study prior to school ending. We're still waiting for that report to get summarized. They sent us, I think it was a 36-page report, but they'll summarize that for us and take a look at it. And then next Monday, there's going to be some of the core design and bond oversight committee members going on a 3-school tour, a couple in Austin and 1 in Rushford, to get some ideas, different spaces, what they've done. Yeah, that's all I had. Did you have anything else?
I was going to add the school tour as well, that was coming up as well.
Good, thank you. Board members, any questions? Running pretty smooth, though, I think.
It's, yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of meetings, but they're definitely worth it.
I should also possibly report Pride in the Tiger Foundation had their very successful golf tournament yesterday. So I think that they sold the most raffle tickets they've sold to date, had one more team than last year, and also as many whole sponsorships. So hopefully that's a great outlook for their fundraising that supports our district. So positive all the way around.
Very good. Moving on to our facilities, building, and grounds update.
So just wanted to give some updates. First on the middle school and west side safety grants, that project. Start seeing some work done on those projects soon. They started to pull some of the wiring for the electrical. And then we also got word from the contractor that they'll be in on Monday to actually start some of the work, probably more so on the front entrance of the middle school. But you'll also see probably in the next couple of weeks, they're going to be adding that shatter-resistant film to the windows. They can start working on that anytime. So we're still waiting for some of the equipment. It's taking a little longer due to the demands of it, but we'll keep you guys updated on the timeline of that. And then just a few things that, one of the things when we were doing the referendum, we heard from some people about keeping our buildings up to date. So I just wanted to, later on, you guys are going to be approving the 10-year plan for LTFM, and just wanted to go over some of the summer projects we're doing and the LTFM projects, just so you know that we're working on things. At the high school, we added some mastic sealant to the intake trays. As you guys know, on April 11th and 12th with the blizzard, we had some snow come into the intake trays, which it's supposed to do that, but we got so much into it that it ended up leaking onto the gym floor, damaging the gym floor. That mastic should hopefully help prevent that from happening. Next spring, we'll also look at maybe raising the intake valves or vents. That also would help to lessen the snow coming in. And along with that, the gym floors will start getting fixed on Thursday. They're going to repair some of the boards, and then they'll do the sanding, the finishing, and the repainting of the logo and the lines. That's estimated to be done on August 16th. And just a reminder that that's being covered by our insurance, covered that, less the deductible. Other projects at the high school this summer was to fix a glycol pipe. If you've been in the high school in the spring or the fall, you've seen there's a leak that's happened, and we're replacing that pipe. It expands in the spring and the fall. We're replacing that with a different pipe that will hopefully prevent that leak from happening going forward. And then also, if you've been out there lately, we redid the turnaround to the main office. It was in some really bad shape, so we actually replaced the asphalt on that, and then did some cut and repair on a couple of the other parking lots due to the winter. It was pretty rough. Middle school, I didn't know we had these, but there's caulk on the expansion joints around the school. There's a whole bunch of them. Last time they were replaced was 15 years ago, so we're going to be replacing those. Those will help prevent some of the rain coming in, leaks. When it cracks, it has a chance of coming in, so that'll be replaced. If you go around the cafeteria and the theater, the roofs have been replaced over there, but the water stains still existed, so we painted those so you don't see the water stains anymore. And then the north parking lot, again with the weather, we had some south parking lot, sorry, had some cut and replace there. And then you saw the sidewalk in the front was replaced. That was chipping and cracking. Not sure how long ago that was replaced, but we did find out that the depth of it was not what it should have been. That's kind of why it was chipping. So we fixed that with the appropriate depth of the gravel and concrete. Learning a lot. And then also you'll see some digging eventually by the south side grass area by the 5th grade wing, and then also out Scott in my window. Our storm sewer drains, we had a tree that the root went into it, so we're going to remove the tree, and then we have to fix that. And then also on our side, once they get that, they'll be able to see there's something else stopping it that they'll be able to see and replace that. So, and then also, next year we'll be doing the roof. Park side, if you've been there, they're done with the carpet project for this year. That included the kindergarten wing, some of the side rooms, and the ILC. Next year we'll finish that off, which will be the wings, the A wing, and the office. We waited with the office this year, obviously, because of the construction happening next year. Also part of our LTFM, we did budget in some money for boilers and chillers. We're getting to the 30-year. We're going to have some people come in and take a look just to give us an idea, but we also don't want those to stop working and then we're in trouble. So we'll take a look at those. And then if you've been to Parkside, you can see the bus lane's been replaced. Replace that with concrete. Should last longer, especially with the buses and the use of it. West side, we don't have any projects, but we do have some LTFM money set aside just in case we need to use it. So,
Very good. Appreciate the update.
you bet.
Branding and logo update.
Just ask Dion and Tricia they've taken the lead on this, and wanted to give you an update on some things that have happened recently, just so you know what's going on.
So as you're aware, as of July 1st, the district officially launched the new brand strategy, and that included the 7 new logos that you approved in May. And since that time, we've really worked with to create information to get out to our community and our staff regarding the implementation of, it's really an exciting time for the district with the unique brand. And so, you know, we've really tried to create some of that excitement. And we are working, we've created building-specific logos, but now it's beyond that. It's every activity needs a specific logo now to represent their activity. And so last week, there was one day last week, and then today, Bruce, Remy, and I and Dion met with our community partners and vendors to go over, you know, what our brand strategy is. We shared the guide with them. We had an opportunity to answer questions, and it really was a good meeting. There were a lot of good discussions, and we just asked them, you know, to be partners with us to help us roll this out, and, you know, to create the excitement with the groups in town. We've learned a few things along the way, you know. I can't say that any of us are graphic designers, but we're learning a lot as we go, and the VIP branding company has been really, really good to work with. So we're working on updating letterheads, business cards, website, social media. You know, there's tigers everywhere, and so we're working, you know, here, we'll be getting this guy replaced soon, but like Dion shared, we're updating the gym floor. You know, that just kind of corresponded when redoing the gym floor. We'll update the tiger at the high school, but the tiger's on banners, he's on gym mats, he's everywhere. And so we're going to do as much as we can this first year, but then we'll continue to work to update the tiger in the years to come as the money's available. Thank you to the Marshall Independent. They had a really nice article in the paper this week about the new brand, and so I appreciated that. And then in the weeks ahead, you know, staff are going to be coming back, and so we really need to try to create that excitement for staff. And we're working on setting up a web store to purchase apparel, and then also working with our local community partners and vendors to have apparel available for purchase for staff and community members. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that has supported us and the enthusiasm that we continue to see through this process. And you know, I think it's great, and Dion can share in that excitement with me. And yeah, it's just been an exciting time for the district.
It's fun seeing it rolled out, and Tricia and Bruce have done a nice job communicating with you know, some of these vendors that we're looking for consistency. You know, we want to keep it to what it is. So.
Very good. It's been a long process, because I can remember they talked about that when Mike Book was on, which was quite a long time.
Yeah, it'll be worth it.
That's great. Thanks for your effort and your dedication. Roar, when you pointed to replacing this guy, were you this or?
You talking me or Jeff or the
Pointed right at
tiger?
Scott.
The tiger, the tiger.
Okay, I just want to make sure we get that straight. Administrator's report, sir.
Just a couple things. Hopefully you had a chance to read through my report as well as Dion's. A couple things that I'll point out that are in the report. Each year at the end of the year, we submit our enrollment to the Department of Education, and it takes a while for them to process it. And over the course of the summer, they'll come up with a variety of updates relative to the number of students that will be funded for from the 2018-19 school year. Like my report says, we ended the year with 2,466 students in kindergarten through 12th grade, but The first information or data from the Department of Education that was released indicates that we should be funded for 2,481 students. And that would be up from 2,463, I believe it was last year. Again, as I've shared with you previously, this was our 9th consecutive year of enrollment growth, and we anticipate that will continue for the next 5 years. And then part of that report also focuses on voluntary pre-kindergarten school readiness enrollment numbers. And without going into all of the 44.54 and all of the specific numbers, I put in bold in my report that since we were able to implement the voluntary pre-kindergarten and the school readiness plus, because of the legislative funding opportunity that was available, we've increased the number of our full-time students in early childhood that we've served by 150%. So that number, and even this year, from last year to 2018-19, it increased another 31%. So a lot of people pulling on the rope there, a lot of people working together. Obviously, we've displaced some programs, so to speak. There's been a really good cooperative effort in order to continue to grow that VPK and school readiness program. But those numbers were also in the enrollment report from the MDE, and I thought that they were worth sharing. So, Dion.
Just a couple of things. I just put a new law that's out there, kind of crept up on us. A lot of districts weren't aware of it, but basically it's employers need to provide employees with a written notice at the start of their employment. We already do that, but there's some additional information. Tammy and Gwen will be working with the co-op and Smart Systems that actually is putting together a wage statement notice that'll have that information, so we can do that electronically. They do have to be signed by the employee, and we'll be able to do that electronically like we do our board now. And the second part I just put in there at the bottom was about the bond sale, the good news. Just wanted to reemphasize that. So that's it.
Great. Moving on, we'll review policies 101, 104, and 203.2.
Tricia, what review is this, first or second? That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure.
When you read through these, board members, did you have any questions? Okay. I can't pronounce that. School board goals.
Just the document every year, as you know, when you set your goal or goals as a school board, we try to put in front of you some things that you mostly submit to us, actions that relate to each of the goals, and this is a summary of what was collected January through May, I believe it was, just sort of illustrating that when it comes to advocacy, there was a lot of things that took place this year that all of you were responsible for and involved in, so kudos to you for focusing on that advocacy goal.
Moving on to our action items, approval of 10-year long-term facilities maintenance plan. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion.
As I mentioned before, this is, MDE requires us to put a 10-year LTFM plan together, and along with that is the resolution.
Any further discussion or questions?
I would say the one thing as that Dion and I have talked about, and he kind of alluded to it earlier, we really want to take a more in-depth look at our long-term facilities maintenance plans. We have a plan, and it's pretty good, but it's also always good to have someone from the outside kind of bring that fresh perspective to, Dion, I think you referenced the boilers and chillers at Parkside. They have a life expectancy of 30 years. We're kind of planning to replace them or whatever. Do we need to, if we can get, without having to worry about a significant breakdown, if we can get 5, 7, 10 more years from them, there's no reason to spend that money now. So we are going to have someone come in and spend some time looking through all of our sites, not just at big equipment type things like boilers, but ADA compliance and just a variety of things that really are incorporated into our plan. So I see, and Dion, if I'm stepping out of line here, you'll have to let me know, but I think we'll see changes in this plan probably over the next 3 or 4 years in terms of what we're going to do.
As we prioritize things, I mean, there will be other things put in there, like our middle school theater, maybe something to do with the pool area, filling it in, middle school floor in the cafeteria. You know, there's some things that'll be in there, and it's just how we prioritize them.
Very good. Any other questions, board members? If not, please vote. It is approved. Authorization to advertise and hire a sixth grade teacher position. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's open for discussion.
Dion did a nice job of putting information together for you in his memorandum. Hopefully it's pretty clear, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us now.
All right, hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Approval of the 2019-20 student handbooks. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's open for discussion.
Like to go through every page of every one with you, if that's okay. We try to ask our administrators and coordinators to show changes and summarize what changes are made. So if you have questions, I can try to answer them for you.
Just Dad, I appreciate the pullout with the revisions. That helped a lot.
I think that's what we need to get to for everybody.
Yes, very much so. Very good. Call for vote. It is approved. Approval of the Lynd tuition agreement. Motion to approve. Do we have a second? It's open for discussion.
And you'll have to say if there are any changes. Lynd has a new superintendent now, and I think as part of their getting moving, they realized that we needed to do this. So.
Last agreement expired after the 18-19 school year, so none of the, basically it was just the dates that changed.
Okay, call for a vote. Is approved. Authorization to sell the portable classroom. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
So moved.
Any discussion?
So a couple things here. In the summary, I think does a nice job of portraying what we're trying to say. We know that we're going to need that space where the portable is, and that'll become a construction zone, quote unquote, sometime next spring. We had talked about we being internally, and I think even the building bond oversight committee had talked about, do we wait until December or January and then try to move it out, or should we do it now? And we spoke with Darcy, and she said it's going to be difficult, but they'll make it work finding space for those programs so that we can get that portable out of there. Hopefully yet in August would be great, or September. And then we'll see what happens with it. I think Dion is going to reach out on a listserv through MASBO. I've been in contact with I've been in contact to the company who we purchased it from. They often resell these for us. We did have conversations internally about putting it somewhere else, but nothing would work out, and it was cost prohibitive to do that. So we think that this is the correct route to go. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at.
And I would just reiterate that was talked about kind of at great length at the Bond Oversight Committee, as well as evaluating various options, and that was the most responsible one we felt made the most sense.
Any other comments? Please vote. It is approved. Approval of the lease agreement between Adult Basic Ed and MNSCU. We have a motion.
I'll move.
Second.
Open for discussion.
This is just our annual agreement between ABE and SMSU for the space that they lease out. I just want to note that the space or the price didn't change this year. They relook at that every other year.
It didn't change.
Did not change.
Call for a vote. Is approved. Approval of facility updated rental rates. Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion.
Jill and I just reviewed the facility rental rates, very minor changes to it. I put them on there. Just a couple of changes that we felt were necessary.
Very good. Any questions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Approval of the increase in daily rate of pay for substitute teachers. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
No second. It's open for discussion.
Just reviewing the substitute teacher rates. We just wanted to be consistent and competitive. So the half day stays the same, but the daily rate would go to 1/3.
Is that close to what everybody else thinks around the area?
It is, yep. Keeps us right in line.
Any other questions? Hearing none, please vote. Is approved. Approval of the 2019-20 school meal prices. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion.
Every year we have to review our lunch prices to keep in line with MDE, what they request or would require. We have not had an increase in the last 3 years. So to be competitive with our food pricing, we're just suggesting a 10-cent increase for breakfast and lunch.
Is the increase, Dion, also, I thought at one time school districts had to continue to increase their prices to get closer to the reimbursement rate. Is that?
For free interviews, yes.
Okay,
correct.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, no, we don't want to have to make a big adjustment at some point, so that's why we're making this one.
How much are we still off?
A head up? Boy, I don't have that, but
Okay, we'll vote on it anyway, Dion.
I can get it to you.
No, that's fine.
I guess we're still going to be off by probably 20 or 30 cents.
Because I thought it was 30 before. Is approved. Approval of e-learning plan. Motion to approve. Do we have a second? Open for discussion.
Just, you had the committee or part of the committee present last month, and you've had some time to think about it. Do you have any questions or concerns? I've not heard any, but
I think a lot of the maybe reservations or concerns that I would have had that dealt with access, I feel that the committee did a wonderful job of addressing some of those questions. So I just want to commend them on some great work on this, and I think it's a good thing.
Very good. Any other comments? Please vote. It is approved.
the good news is now that there's an e-learning plan, we probably will not have any snow days for the next 10 years, so.
Great, though.
Approval of the superintendent contract for years 2020 to 23. Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's open for discussion. Hearing no discussion, call for a vote. It is approved. Move to close to discuss the superintendent evaluation. I'll second. Please vote. In a minute. There we go. Meeting's now closed.